Here I am after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman, keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they are squalling and wet. Heir to a spineless man who never forgets, never forgets that he's a prisoner. Can't you hear my Can't nobody see just who in hell I am. Hemmed in by a suit, yes, Lord, choked up in a tie. Ain't no wonder sometimes in the morning I hear my woman cry. She knows her man is a prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? Yeah, 'cause I need somebody, whoa, to listen to me.
Greetings once again. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition podcast. My name is Frank Brown. I'm with my brother Abdul, and we are bringing you our episode right here live because it's very important that we take care of what needs to be taken care of, which is the interests and the ideas of political prisoners, those political prisoners who made sacrifices to move their people forward. They're currently being incarcerated for an extended long period of time. As we present to you this podcast episode, it's very important that we focus on what it is that we're talking about. Today's episode is in the early stages or the early days of Black History Month. And as our children go to school, and as we, as people of African descent, so-called Black people, we look at this month as a time to reflect on our history, the struggles we have been forced to address, and the fact that we have to continue to fight. And when I talk about political prisoners, I talk about real heroes, right? Our children get excited about so-called superheroes like Batman and Robin and Superman, but they very seldom talk about real heroes like political prisoners. And that's why it's very important that we take time out to focus on political prisoners and focus on what they have done for us and the fact that we need to continue to fight hard to win their freedom over. It's not going to be easy, but it's necessary. We have a national obligation. We are people of African descent, and we know what our struggle has been for quite some time. And this struggle have come with wins and losses. Our political prisoners have been captured, and we have a duty to freedom. And we have to freedom in a way that is real, in a way that is possible. And that way is by organizing. Brother
Haqq. Peace and love, brothers and sisters. This is Black History Month. There's a whole lot of activity, you know. It seems like Black History Month is taking on a new life this year, and hopefully in the years to come, it'll be the same thing. There's a very, very powerful urge now for us to look at our history. You know, many people and organizations are doing things in regards to Black history. I'll give you this later on. You can look up Black History 360 on WPLS. They have a scores of things happening there. This organization is carrying on the work of Carter D. Woodson, who wrote the book The Miseducation of the Negro. Their organization is the ASALA.com, and they are doing scores of presentations on Black history. Like I said, I'll give you those addresses again. You know, we're organizing our ideas today around what Brother Malcolm said about history. Brother Malcolm said that of all research, it is history that can give us the greatest rewards. The greatest rewards come through our study of history, you know. So we take control of our history. We own our history instead of letting someone else, a predator, tell us what our history means. To use history to make the type of human beings that they want, that they can exploit, that they can torture and misuse and abuse, you understand, for their own gain. That's how they want to use history. But we take ownership of our history and look and see what that history can do for us. One thing, when we study history, we are keen on reality. What is the real? The real is that we are in a state of war. Our enemy, the United States of America, this capitalist imperialist system, this colonizer, has been in a constant state of war for decades, for centuries. Been in a constant state of war. It has been at war with our people. You know, weapons, torture, oppression, sending armies against our people. This is war. We can't define it as anything else. Some people might want to define that as a fashion show, being lynched, being murdered, being raped. They might want to define that as a party, as a good time. But no, we have to define the reality. Right now, the enemy who has moved against our people has got a big movement right now to try to crush our education, to crush the truth of our history. In fact, they're going around threatening violence to black colleges and black educators who teach our people the truth. So to understand the reality of the war that we've been engaged in, you understand, this produces the type of human being, you understand, the type of youth, the type of young people who are brought up and nurtured, you understand, and educated with understanding that we must resist, that we must be strong, and our political prisoners have to be a part of that history. Our political prisoners are a part of the history that the enemy would like to exclude, the way that they example this resistance, this stand up, this strength, this courage, this loyalty, these principles, you understand, that served our interests, that worked with us, that helped us, you understand, that pushed us forward, that inspired us, the political prisoners are part of that history, and us being in charge of our own history, we must remember our political prisoners, and their contributions, their voices must be heard. The example of Brother Matulu, who threw his body on the leadership, covered up the leadership when the Ku Klux Klan was firing into the church. Brother Mumia Abu Jamal, who is a scholar. We need more young intellectuals to come up and tell the truth to our people, to raise our people up. The example of Kamal Sadiq, who exampled the principle of not telling, you understand, not telling to save his own skin. These type of things enliven and give meaning to our history. A former political prisoner, Sekou Odinga, you understand, who lived up to the principle of never abandoning your comrades.
And I want to just take a few minutes to talk about Sekou Odinga, because I remember talking to Sekou Odinga, and he telling me that he was sentenced to life in prison, and he told the judge. So the judge is sentencing him to life in prison. He told the judge, "What makes you God? What makes you think I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life in prison?" Mm-hmm. And sometimes when we talk about our political prisoners and they got these life sentences, people would talk to us and maybe hear that it's hopeless, that you can't fight to bring them home. But we, the people, the taxpayers, that they use our money to incarcerate our political prisoners, we have that power, right? We have that responsibility when we're conscious of it to free our political prisoners. We got to get organized. We got to put pressure on those we elected and tell them, listen, that person or those people who you incarcerated in this so-called correctional facility got to come home. And we want them to come home because we need his ideas and her ideas to help our people move forward, because these political prisoners, prior to their incarceration or even and after their incarceration, they continue to develop. They continue to come up with ideas that will move our people forward. But we are being denied those benefits because they are incarcerated. They are incarcerated because of a system that against those type of people, organizing people in their own interest, organizing people to move forward. Like we're receiving victories, right? Throughout the years, you notice things happening. For instance, you have the former team known as the Washington Redskins. Now they call the Washington team. Now they finally have a name called the Commanders. Right? This is years of organizing, years of people fighting, saying that this name is derogatory to people, to certain people, and this name needs to be removed. Certain people thought that that would never happen. And certain people thought that Sekou Odinga would never come home. Certain people thought that Jalil Abdul Mutakim would never come home.
Right.
But people organized, they consistently put pressure on the system to bring our people home. Now it's time for us to bring our brother Sundiata Akoli home. He's 85 years old. He's been incarcerated for almost 50 years. He has an extended a disciplinary record regarding his ability to take orders in his so-called correctional facility. Right? He has that record where it's squeaky clean, for clarity's sake. His record is excellent. And the whole point is that, when you consider these factors, there's a serious contradiction that's out there regarding this facility and their intentions. They want our political prisoners to die in prison. And we say that we're organized people and we won't allow that to happen. And we're going to step up and put pressure on them. We got to bring it to the community. A community needs to know their history. I'm currently residing in South Jamaica, Queens. And I know that those people in that community need to know who Kamal Siddiqui is, who Matulu Shakur is, and why they need to stand behind them being let home and back into their community. Their community needs them. They need their work. They need their strong mind to continue to develop and continue to move ourselves forward and our people. These are real heroes, right? They're fighting real enemies, real crimes to the people. And that's why they're currently incarcerated, because of their ability to do that. I'm sorry, brother. I had to get that off my chest.
Oh, that's
It's
right
something
on,
that
brother.
needed to be said. It's something that I was practicing because I understand that the people need to hear that. And that's why we need to commit ourselves to some time throughout the week when it comes to political prisoners matter. So, brother.
That's right on, brother. And you brought up the subject of hope, which is central, critical to what we're talking about. One of the strategic aims of our enemy is to make us hopeless, to make us think that there's nothing that we can do, that anything that we would try to do is in vain. You understand? There's a cliche that goes around America that you can be and do anything that you want to be and do. However, in this educational system, it says you can do and be anything you want to be except to stand up against the oppressor, and as Michael J. Aquino, a sergeant major in the Navy, who also was a satanic practitioner, said that his main strategy against his enemy was to crush the spirit, to destroy the hope. You understand? In the art of war, the same thing Sun Tzu said. Sun Tzu said, in the art of war, to destroy the enemy's hope, to completely overwhelm the enemy's spirit. So this education, the education that comes from the predator, is different from the education that we give ourselves, because part of that education, like I say, the cliche is that you can be and do anything in America that you want to be and do. However, through the educational, that excludes standing up to this global oppressor, this oppressor who's gone around the world and murdered hundreds and hundreds of millions of people to build wealth and empire. Through education, we get the idea that there's nothing we can do about this criminal, about this enemy. But through our own education, we teach our youth that we can stand up. And we had examples of those who had this type of hope, had this type of belief, these believers, these true believers who put together and mobilized black hot resistance. These are what political prisoners are, and these are the voices that need to be free. Jamil Abdul Alameen, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, who taught our people you understand, to overcome the slavery to the lower desires. And this is what the enemy perpetuates in the culture, that we are to be operate on the level of beastly slavery to our lower desires. And so this is the culture of America, the oppressor, through oppression and torture and dehumanization and disrespect, taught us to disrespect ourselves, and defined us as an N-word, you understand? And sometimes our people has accepted that definition of M-word. The definition of N-word is worthless, disloyal, distrustworthy, you understand? Enemy to their own kind, hating their own kind, like we see these shootings out here in the street, that comes from us hating ourselves and hating one another, taking on this definition that our oppressor gave us, that we were worthless. We said, no, we are people of worth, and that in our history, we look back on our history and we see great heroes, you understand, and sheroes in our history who stood up, and our political prisoners are among them. Right now, there is a trend in looking at history which says to say they was cool, but that's about it, like an example of the Panthers. Right now, the Black Panthers are very, very popular, but that goes no further, through the shackles that come from the enemy on the brain of saying there's some cool brothers, some bad brothers. However, it doesn't go far enough to say that we got to fight to get them free. It just said we need to sit back and say, oh man, they was bad, you understand? But we got to take those examples, you understand, and put it as part of our culture, like the culture of George Jackson, who said, settle your disputes. Brother George Jackson was a brother who was for his brothers in the gulag, you understand, who organized our brothers to come together in unity and not to fight and kill one another, you understand? And Brother Matulu Shakur, I did a little time with Matulu. This was a brother who will fight something 100 feet tall. This brother had heart big as all outdoors, you understand? And his thing was don't talk about doing something, but do it, So don't just sit back and praise our Black Panthers, you understand? The movie Black Panther came out, and a gift that the Panther leadership gave our people to make us understand that with their people, there is power. So understand that this has to be an historical example as we take control and own our history. Understand that we do have power. We have the power to make this movement, you understand, to free our political prisoners, to make this a priority, to push it, to make it popular. Brother Matulu also said that people with a big voice, we need to reach out to them. We're going to be reaching out to people who have a big voice in our community. We're going to be reaching out to Killer Mike and people like that who have 500,000 listeners. You understand what I'm saying? People who we were reaching out to, so y'all who are listening to this, any of y'all that have access to people that got a big microphone, they got a big mic, loudspeaker that they need to promote our political prisoners, you understand, because these are brothers and sisters, you understand, that came out and defended us when we needed self-defense. There's always been a white backlash against our fight for human rights. After Reconstruction, there was a racist backlash that the government, the U.S. government, you understand, kowtowed to, you understand, and reverse things, And so it's been these backlashes through history. We see a backlash right now with the rise of these white militias that are training right now to kill Black people.
Those real enemies.
Yeah. And one thing that the news will not make prevalent is that the main aim of people like those folks from January 6th, the main aim of those people is to oppress Black people. That's a white backlash. That is a backlash against Obama, who was a colonizer too, but that's a backlash against that. And their main objective, priority, you understand, triple A priority, you understand, is to kill black people. So, a true understanding and a true message that comes from the history that we control is that we got to organize for self-determination. We got to organize to define ourselves, to speak for ourselves, to define our own reality, to organize for self-defense. That's something that makes sense. When you look at history and the reality of history, you act in a way that makes some daggone sense. That's logical. So what is it logical for you to do if somebody's making a war on you? You understand? You make preparations. You organize. You resist. You form an opposition. And our young brothers and sisters in the educational system, at the elementary, and the college level, you understand? This is what they need to get from us being in control of our own history. You understand? We need new intellectuals, you understand, who respond to history with reality, with logic, with what makes sense. So when we understand, and the different lessons, you understand, when we see that this oppressor, this colonizer, went to every continent on the face of this earth and murdered 500 million people, to produce wealth and empire. What is our logical act when we understand these things? You understand? Is for us to survive. And our political prisoners are those who answered the call when we needed self-defense, for our survival and for our interests.
Exactly. Well said. Always on point. Right now, we want to take a few minutes to let our viewers know what's coming up. Our brother Kamal Siddiqui, there's a birthday celebration on Ever Bright. Please sign up, learn more about Kamal Siddiqui especially if you happen to live in South Jamaica, Queens. Learn about your rich history. Learn about your history of resistance. Learn about your history of organizing. Learn about your history that allowed you to be in the current situation you are in. Although we need more improvement, we came a long way. And we came a long way because of certain people's sacrifice. We have to realize that any and everything we got, no matter how small or big it is because people organized and fought for it. Nobody got anything free, right? Everybody have received something because somebody who came before them sacrificed. So February 19th, celebrate the life of Kamal Siddiqui. He's still with us and physically. We want to have a good turnout, strong turnout. Go to Everbright and register. They're going to be taking donations. That's February 19th from the hours of 7 to 9 p.m. You go to, also for more information, go to Free Kamal Siddiqui campaign at Gmail. Again, that's Free Kamal Siddiqui at Gmail. And register at everbright.com. Look for Kamal Siddiqui, political prisoner, on that website, and you'll be able to go through the steps needed so you can participate in that very important program is to celebrate what he's done up to this point and how you need to contribute to him coming home. Because like I said earlier, Sekou Odinga was sentenced to life and people organized, and he studied his case. He hit that library hard, and he's home with us now. Been so for a number of years, and he's able to continue his position in the fight for our national liberation. The fight for political prisoners is included in that struggle for national liberation because political prisoners are prisoners of war. We're at war here. We are fighting to be liberated, and they are leading the charge. They got captured, and we got to bring them home, and we have to learn from them as we continue to struggle. One of the things that I wanted to bring before we conclude this episode is the importance of children writing to political prisoners. And I was speaking to Abdul Haqq about how did it feel when the youth wrote him.
Well, it felt great. While I was in prison, there were certain organizations out in the street that organized youth to write to political prisoners, and so I was able to give them some views, give them some things that would encourage them, you understand, to fight for the people, to be an asset to our folks, a benefit, which would, and to steer them away from the type of life, lifestyle that leads to prison, and all the problems and misfortune that black people have through a miseducation. So I was very, very happy that I could be, like a big brother. Even though I couldn't be right there next to him. That was my view. You understand the vision I had of being a big brother. From miles away. Helping them and appreciating their love for me, for reaching out for me and communicating.
So when they wrote you and you respond back, how did this dialogue continue to go on?
Well, some kids it lasted, for a while. They told me about the things happening in their life. I give them little suggestions, and trying to drop some pearls of wisdom on them and stuff. Through my experiences, and all geared toward a proper, vision of, we are people who need to struggle, that we need to fight, we need to stand up, we need to stand up for justice, that we've been done some very, very grave injustices, and that, I'm one who stood up for justice, and I appreciate that they appreciate, what I tried to do for them, so it was love.
That's excellent, brother. We have to continue to keep our people inspired, continue to move forward strong, continue to do this work because we have to be responsible for our national liberation in our lifetime. Because nobody's gonna come and do anything for us. We have to do all these things for ourselves. I know at certain points we get tired because of the issues that we're facing, but we have to continue because we can't afford to pass our problems on to the next generation. And that's what's crucial about our children learning about political prisoners and learning from them. It's going to build up their confidence.
Right.
They're going to become stronger. So when
Right.
they have to take on a fight, they know how to lead us. Right? 20 years down the line, how do we envision the world? Or how do we envision our household?
And this is the value of our people being in contact with our political prisoners through writing. You understand this encouragement, this inspiration. This teaching. You understand of what is the uh, correct path to take. You understand, in view of the realities that we live in. You know, so this puts the type of strength in our people that our people need, which can be even multiplied. If these brothers and sisters was out here among us, right there, standing right next to us. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is done from a distance, from miles and miles and miles away, sometimes 100,000 miles away. This inspiration goes out through the telephone wire and through letters. You understand? But they need to be right next to us. You understand? That presence right next to us. You understand? To show enough, build that strength. Build that character that is necessary to deal with the show enough real deal that's going down.
Absolutely right on point, right to the key of the issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everything that needed to be said has been said.
I want to talk about a couple of more.
Go ahead, brother, before we close up.
You had mentioned a couple of things that's coming up online. You mentioned the thing online about Kamal Siddiqui. Also, I said that I was going to repeat some information where people can plug in to get some Black History Month information and programming. Okay, like I said, one of them is Black History 360. That's on WBLS. They have series of Black History Month information and presentations happening there. Another, like I said before, was the organization that doing the work of Carter G. Woodson, who wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro. His organization is asalh.com, and they expound on various aspects of our Black history. Also, something that's happening right now is a move for reparations. When somebody stick you up and you want the wealth back that was taken from you, that's your reparations. And by your wealth being stolen, you understand, you are kind of, there's been a level of destruction that needs to be repaired. So that repair has to come through reparations, through stolen wealth. Queen Mother Moore said $777 trillion. So something that's happening right now is the December 12th movement is organizing, understand, to go to D.C. August 17th to demand that Joe Biden issue a $50 million down payment for reparations, you understand, to build a state-of-the-art healthcare facility. We have these healthcare disparities. Our life expectancy is 10 years less than white people. Maternity deaths are 3 times more than white women. Infant mortality is 2 times more than white babies. You understand? So these type of things come through poverty. You understand? Us not having the wealth to get the level of living that we need to have. So this move is happening right now. So these are some of the things that's being organized during Black History Month. So to be in touch with the December 12th movement organizing, contact d12.com. Black Power.
Black Power. Well said, straight to the point. It's very powerful and important information that we're giving you. We're gonna unfortunately, it's time for us to come to that end of our show. I thought that everything that needed to be discussed was discussed. Please share, please like, please subscribe. And as we always do, we want to just leave you with a couple of words from a good brother by the name of Killer Mike. Because this message, we can't hear it enough. But it's on point and it's needed. People don't understand.
And I have to give the credit to this idea, Miss Kathy Hughes of Radio 1. She's like, Michael, it is time that you guys organize a fund to set aside to help people who sacrifice for our freedom. Meaning, every time something happens, I hear this. Why don't the gang bangers jump up and do something for it? Why don't you kill them? You kill each other. And I say to myself, when is the last time you sent money to Assata Shakur? When is the last time you sent money to Matulu Shakur? When is the last time you sent money to Mumia Abu-Jamal or Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford or Leonard Peltier? When is the last time you have made it your business to send money to a revolutionary or a hoodlum that has helped us? And until we start to do that, how can we ask these young men to be warriors? Because if they do it in the name of the hood, at least the hood don't honor their name always. At least the hood don't make sure at least their children got something or their mama's house is looked after. As a community, if we're going to ask people to bungee jump for us with no cord, be prepared to take care of them when they get a life sentence. Be prepared to look after their family. See, I don't mind the work getting done, but let's take care of the workers. Let's stop asking more out of people than we would do for ourselves. So what I'd like to see, my dream thing, is to see 1 million people from the culture dedicate $10 a month. That's $10 million a month, $120 million a year toward taking care of civil rights leaders who have worked on our behalf and are elderly now and don't have to take care of themselves, like Rosa Parks, whose rent was paid by the owner of Little Caesar's Pizza. We should have had a fund to make sure that she never had to worry about that again in her life. We should have a fund that makes sure money makes it to Assata Shakur, and Matulu Shakur has legal representation and food, and Leonard Peltier, who has diabetes in jail, can get insulin and taken care of. And until we start doing it, $10 a month is about what you pay on a couple fast food restaurant visits. So if 1 million of us do that for the rest of our life, look at how well we'll be taking care of the people that we're asking to sacrifice on our behalf.
I agree. And recently,
Well said, right to the point. Well said, right to the point. And as we always do, we have to bring this episode to an end. What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.
Please share and do your part. Share with at least 10 people. Yeah. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's life is dependent on it.
Yeah.